Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Wednesday, September 21st, 2022. This is the combination of our third and final budget hearing for the 2022-2023 budget. And at this time, and just so that the public knows, once we finish with the budget public hearing, we're just going to roll right into the called council meeting, and then the primary purpose for that meeting is to, if the council decides to adopt the budget as presented. So at this time, what I will do prior to turning it over to the public is ask our city manager, Dennis Stroud, to get us started with the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Before I get to the budget, because you know that both of these documents go together, the position classification plan, I want to bring two things to your highlight before I get to the numbers. This pay classification plan that we talked about earlier, I've made just two small changes to it. I've changed in fact, the title from Main Street directly to downtown Camilla. You should see that in your packet. I've also updated the customer service manager. I talked to you about bringing both of those managers on par with one another. So I have brought that back to you, and I've corrected the title change on the pay classification as well. Any question before I actually go to the numbers?
So if I'm understanding you correctly, Mr. City Manager, we will, in adopting the budget, we are also adopting the position and classification plan as presented.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, sir, because these two documents go hand in hand. Yes, sir.
Right. All right. Thank you, sir.
No, sir. No, other than the title. Other than the title. The salary change slightly just to bring those two managers on par. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, Council, I know you've seen in your packet that the numbers changed about $6 million from last time we met. And I bring it to your attention because I had to account for the $4 million we drew down from mid. I also had to account for the 1.5 that we drew down for the spray fee. So that's why you see such a drastic increase of where we were. For the general fund budget.
Well, just one thing, Mr. City Manager. So the 1.5 is inside of the $4 billion.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I'll tell you where it came from.
Gotcha. Well, in terms of the transfer.
Yes, sir.
It's in terms of accounting, the 1.5 went to the general fund, and the 2. Gotcha. I understand. So the 1.5, when you're talking about the spray field, you're actually talking about the anticipated. But now that's going to be, if I'm not mistaken, a little bit short of 1.5. It'll be somewhere in the neighborhood, I think 900 or $1.1 million, or somewhere in that neighborhood, but not quite minus 700,000. But I got you. What you're talking about is the anticipated GFA.
Yes, sir.
When you say spray field money, that's what you're talking about. Gotcha. Okay. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Mayor and Council, as the financial consultant, I will build this budget in coordination with obviously the ACM, HR, who's been helping us, and many other staff members, department heads. We realized that the first priority obviously had to be to include a level of sufficiency to pay our outstanding debt obligations, maintain the current level of service, and another priority for us obviously was to make sure that we can fund future projects. That meant for providing funds for street resurfacing, water and sewer projects. In addition to achieving these goals, we also, as you know, we included a retention incentive for all employees. And you can see the formula that we use inside the packet. Another essential budget priority was obviously retaining sufficient funds for just in case projects, those reserves that we're talking about. If you would come down with me where it says overall funding summary in the packet.
Which tab are you on, Mr. Manager?
I'm on the summary tab. Summary tab, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Page 3.
Gotcha.
Okay, overall funding summary. And this is what you really will see, probably based on from last time to this time, some increases. As you can see, last time at general fund, it was about 9 or 10. This time we're at $12 million. And guys, that includes, we went through this budget line by line, item by item. We accounted for overdrafts from last time, audits, everything that we possibly thought we missed last time, we picked it up this time. And so, as you know, we just went through that big audit and we had items that were over. So we made sure that we accounted for all those funds. And hopefully, this next season we won't have that issue. Water and sewer, I believe that stayed the same or slightly increased. Electricity, you can see that increase. Our biggest pickup for this budget cycle is really utility. I mean, that's really where we would hit the hardest. So we're trying to account for those increases. We keep reading that utility rates continue to soar. We did see some prices in gasoline and diesel go down slightly, but per the council, I did increase those as well to make sure we cover. In some of our budgets, we would get really close toward the fourth quarter, so we make sure we cover everything. CNS and airport, virtual airport slightly increased because we continue to fund money and then keep that operation going. CNS remained the same, but the real stickler for this budget really increased the way it did was because of the overruns from last year and, of course, what we just talked about with the mid garden.
Mr. City Manager, I just want to, before we get any further, I just want to make sure that when the public is hearing this, that they understand exactly what you're saying. When you're talking about the prices in terms of the utility rates and electric rates, we're talking about the city's cost,
Yes, sir.
not the customer's cost, if you will.
City cost.
That's right. So for our customers that are listening, when we're talking about the increase in cost, we're talking about what it is that the city pays. And that has not been passed on to you, if you will. So I just want to make sure we had that clarification.
I think you stated where there was not anything passed.
Indeed.
So this is strictly city. Thank you. All right, so that's what we are at, 47,504,320. That we're also working on some policies that we need to update as well, but I will come to you with those after this budget hearing. So I would like to, subject to your questions at this point, that's what we are with the budget, and that's how we got to this number. I did increase the fire department by 2 members. The chief has been asking for 3, but we could not stretch it this far. These happened with the 2. The police, as you know, last week, 2 weeks ago, we got him to deal with everything. So he's straight. He's continuing to recruit police officers, but those were the biggest 2 pieces that we had as far as personnel.
I see that you increased planning and zoning, and I'm really happy to see that by 1 FTE or almost 1.25.
That department, Mr. Mayor, thank you. That department is running on a director, an admin, and a couple of people in the field. But as we continue to really enforce our code of orders, it needs to be another body out there.
I really do appreciate you pointing that out. The way that this city is trying to grow, we're going to need more folks in the field, if you will, making sure that these buildings, our roads, all of this stuff is in good working order so that we can actually grow. So I'm glad to see that. All right, any questions from the council for the city manager or our chief financial consultant?
On the policy pieces that you mentioned, we may be seeing later, do you have a general idea of what that may be?
Yes, sir. I think we need to make sure we got a bona fide travel policy, amendment policy, how we look at it, and of course a debt policy. I've already started some of those things, but I want to get past it before I bring you some more policies with that.
Councilman Palmer? Just want to see if you have any questions or anything for the city manager or our CFM or CFC. Okay. Thank you. All right. Well, the city manager, I appreciate the presentation. What I'll do now is open it up for the public, and we'll see if there's any questions there. All right, so at this time, as it relates to this public hearing, we're going to open up the floor for the public for any questions you may have. Anyone from the public? All right, council, if there's no objection, what I'd like to do now is ask Ms. Lisa Rigsby to come on up, and Ms. Rigsby is the executive director of our local library, and obviously part of our budget here. And I made, if you recall, some recommended changes regarding our budget as it relates to the library.
What we have going on at the library. I was asked to explain in some words exactly where the money is going. And even though I can't tell you precisely where your money is going, I can tell you what we do with local. So we have 3 local funders, the city, the county, and the board of education. Everybody needs to check our books. We do check our books. And currently we have 4,080 patrons in Camilla. So we have quite a few Camilla users. This does not include our users in Sale City or in Pelham. This is just Camilla users. And we put on a lot of programs for children and families during the year. During the past fiscal year, which our fiscal year ends June 30th, we're having to do the annual report now, so these numbers are being thrown around. We have done 67 programs between July last year and June 30th of this year. And we've had 971 children and parents attend. That does not include our summer program. Our summer program is separate, and we do 2 programs a week for 8 weeks. So that's 16, and we had probably an average of 125 people per program for the ones on Wednesdays, and then we had probably an average of maybe 10 people show up for just the story hour on Thursdays. We had this past year 4 programs that we offered off-site, and we will do that when people call and ask us. For example, if Head Start needs a monthly program, we are happy to go and meet the children at Head Start. We used to do it every month. We also will do off-site, for example, for Mitchell Baker Training Center. We will do off-site for any not-for-profit group that requests us to go and put on a program or read to the children. Our computer usage for this past fiscal year was 5,000 and, might as well say 5,500. Thomas told me it was 5,497, but I think we could be out by 3. Reference questions we consider not only when people are asking us questions like, do you know what the number to the Chamber of Commerce or Camilla is? Those, everybody assumes those are questions like that. And then they'll ask us, how do I get to my email? Boy, we had $1 in our cash drawer for every time somebody asks us that question. Ooh, buddy. So we help people. We include people that need help on computers. We also include people that need help finding things on the shelves. Anytime we help someone, be it verbally or otherwise, we count those as reference. And that's a little over 14,000 for the year. We have 24 public computers that have internet access, and we have some really fast internet. It's available through state funds and the E-rate because we are available. We do have the ability to get E-rate to match what the state is putting in. We have 3 dedicated children's computers, and what I have given you is just basic information. The majority, most likely, of the money that is given to us locally is spent on service, the service desk, which is the local staff. The reason we have asked for an increase this year is because we did not give staff any raise at all for any of us fiscal year 21, but fiscal year 22, nobody got any raises, but fiscal year, this one just started in July. The reason we asked for the money is because we wanted to give everyone at a 4% raise, but since the money is coming at different times, excuse me, the Board of Ed went ahead and committed to us. So we gave a 2% raise the 1st of July to our staff. We have not had anyone else confirm that we're getting the 3,000, so we're waiting to see when the Mitchell County Board of Commissioners meet and when y'all meet. And if we get more money, we're going to give them an additional 2% increase in January. So it will be a total of 4% for the year. And then if we get the 3rd one, they would also get another 2% raise in July because we don't necessarily get that money until like the middle or even the last part of the year. Are there any questions about what we're doing right now? Oh, and another thing that local money does, because state money does not do this at all. Local money, we did not have local money, we would not have lights, we would not have air, we would not have anything, because the state primarily sends us technology, which is great. They give us the money for 3 full-time staff members because we are a 3-county system, and they send us money for materials. So that's where the state money goes. We can track state money really easily because that is just for specific areas. The rest is
appreciate that, Lisa. So that everybody understands why I asked for Lisa to be here is because, as you know, I've recommended that we do not include the $3,000 increase, but in lieu of that, because I do believe that the work, and by my position as mayor, I sit on this board, the library board. So I see firsthand the good work that the library does. What I would say is, and the city of Camilla right now gives $40,000 a year to the library, and some of the stuff that we're doing, Lisa, in transitioning to STEAM type of products, if you will, for our youth, and some of the direct technology type things that we're doing with our overall population is the reason why I'm recommending to the council not to commit to the full or to the $3,000 per year as a permanent deal, but I think instead of $3,000 this year, to grant the library $5,000 in ARPA funds to help with programming, and then what you do with the balance of that obviously is completely up to you. And I think that this time next year we can probably have another conversation and see where we are, because we should have a so that everybody understands. That's right. So Lisa's asking for $3,000 to increase from 40 to 43,000 this year and beyond. Because the city of Camilla is currently engaged in a few different things, if you will, as it relates to our youth. And we just had a conversation about STEAM, obviously a new resource center that's going to house the Boys and Girls Club, enhancing those products locally for our youth and for our general public is something that the city is working on. But what I don't want to do is make sure that the library has the resources it needs for fiscal year 2022 or 23 to do what it needs. So instead of the $3,000, council, I'm recommending that we use $5,000 of our ARPA funds for this year, and this time next year we can have another conversation. Okay, good deal. Any other questions for Lisa? All right, thank you, Lisa. Thank you. All right. Miss Susan, Stitches. Hey, how are you? Yes, ma'am.
For the city of Camilla, we've had a slight uptick in the number of roaming dogs, and we've set traps, and so our numbers have gone up, but not nearly as much as it has elsewhere in the county. So, thanks to the Camilla Police Department, they're really good about it. If they see a dog roaming, they'll walk the neighborhood a little bit to try to find the owner, and that helps us out. Where we really have a problem in Camilla is the cat situation. 2 healthy cats can make over 200,000 cats in 7 years. So I just want everybody to know that when you see 2 now, if we don't do something, we have the potential to have something completely out of control. In regards to the money that y'all as a city give us, it definitely goes to food and to the medical. That's our 2 biggest expenditures. We don't buy the most expensive dog food, but we don't buy the cheapest. Because generally when you buy the cheapest, that's what she is. So we try to go in the medium range that solves a lot of vet problems right there with stomach issues. The Department of Agriculture stays on us constantly about our facility. They want to see it look like something in Moultrie or Thomasville, and I try to explain to them, our county does not have the plantations. We do not have the industry. So we have to have fundraisers because we can't take it out of the money that y'all give us to update the building. So we have fundraisers, and Ms. Tucker is very well aware You know, that we have the 50-50 raffle every year, we have chicken dinners and stuff like that, and that's how, every time we come, the park or bag comes to inspect us, we can say, hey, you've done this. And, with the support of the community, we have put in new lighting, new plumbing, new wiring, new doors, and our next little fundraiser, we're trying to work on putting heating and cooling units in the main building for like smaller dogs and moms and with puppies, that kind of thing. We're all over the place picking up animals. And Camilla, I want to commend y'all for your ordinances in regards to animal welfare, because a lot of what your law enforcement and with us working together, y'all are on top of it, like I said, except for cats, and I don't know of any way to control cats. Especially when you have little old ladies in town that want to feed all the wild ones. You know, but I don't fix them, but I'll feed them, you know, like, no, that's not how that works, you know. But, other than that, you know, that's really what we do, the funds that y'all give us is definitely gas to go in the animal control truck, food for the animals, and vet bill. And we also try to save a lot of money by bedding the animals as much as we can that we're allowed to by law. We can get a lot of vaccinations and do the worming, but there are some things that have to be done because it's registered with the state. And I want to thank y'all for your support. Over the few years that we've been doing this, I think we're on year 6, and y'all have been awesome to work with. You know, do y'all have any questions for us?
Yeah, so again, everybody, I asked the city manager to reach out to Susan to come in and talk to us for a couple of reasons. The first, and I think Susan touched on this as it relates to the animals that are currently at the shelter. That, and just so that everybody understands, so right now the city of Camilla contributes about $25,000 per year to Stitches for this service. And my concern is the enforcement side of the house in terms of the animals getting picked up. And I think you just mentioned that a bulk of what we contribute, if you will, goes towards the maintaining of the facility and the animals. So the question becomes, well, let me ask you this. So how, in terms of your current mission and picking up, especially the aggressive dogs and this type of thing, where are you guys right now with that?
In regards to truly aggressive dogs, if the police department shows up and they're apprehensive about dealing with it, then they call us. And when we get there, we're like, okay, this dog does not need to be released to the public. The correctional institute is called to come pick up the dog, because I can't have aggressive dogs at the shelter with public coming in there. It's just too much of a liability for somebody. Because the first thing you can do is tell a child, don't stick your fingers in the kennel, and the first thing they're going to do is, oh, I'm going to pet the dog. No, you know, but, and as far as aggressive dogs, I really, if I catch one in a trap and I get it back to the shelter and it turns out to be aggressive, I'll keep it, you know, over there, because the less you handle them, the less risk you have of somebody getting hurt. So we just leave them in a kennel, we feed and water them, and, you know, after a while you just have to do what you have to do. You know, you can't put that dog in your home, and not, especially with child.
Okay.
I'm not going to do it, because I don't want somebody coming back to me and saying, well, you put this dog in my house and you knew it was aggressive. I'm not dealing with that.
Okay.
If we have an animal, we've had them where we've wormed them, and they let out and have hoodlums. Things like that are going to happen. That's beyond the vet's control. But generally, we try to vet them, and our first mission, so to speak, is getting them in a home. And that's either through adoption to a permanent family or wherever, or it's to a rescue where they'll take the dog to another part of the country and try to get it into home. Because here in the South, every rescue is packed out. They're not taking anything anywhere. So nobody's moving dogs here in the South. We have sent dogs out as far as New York, into Canada, out in California, and now all those rescues are built up because people home, and there's no home for them to go to.
Well, and I think that is one of the concerns, for me anyway, and that is, as you mentioned, we have law enforcement officers to a certain degree augmenting this particular mission, if you will, and I think not obviously not every day, but to some degree. So go ahead.
That too, I don't think there are a lot of the law enforcement, the police officers, so to speak, are aware of the things that they can charge owners with. They can charge, having a rabies vaccination tag is a state law. It's not a city law. Every animal, cat and dog in the state is supposed to have a rabies tag. Females that are roaming in heat, they can be charged with that, and that's in your ordinance. So I don't think that, it's, I hate to say it like it was a money-making avenue, but you gotta pay that police officer, you gotta put gas in that car, you gotta give him, his compensation. Take the owner's tax, because I truly believe the only way you're gonna stop what goes on is hitting them in the pocketbook.
Yeah, what's
So, Mr. Rigby, you're saying that the animals that we're collecting, many of them have tags, or we're not following up with financial charges?
A lot of that we're picking up, people never claim. And after 10 days, according to my contract with the city of Camilla, by law, I've only got to keep them 5 days, but the health director, Jeffrey Avery, asked me to keep them for 10 days just to make sure they don't break rabies in the meantime. And he sends an animal off and it bites somebody that's carrying the disease and nobody knows it. So normally I keep them for 10 days before I start trying to work them out, get them out at rescue or get them out in homes and all. So there's 10 days where we can't do anything.
Can I talk to you further after this meeting about those other 5 days? Because that's costing too. So I will
Now,
talk to you.
whenever I do it for y'all, it's in the fee that you pay me. It doesn't matter how long I keep that dog, if I keep it 30 days or I keep it 10, you're not charged any extra. That comes out of our budget, what you give us, so it's not costing you more.
right? And so I think it's important for me to clarify. I think my concern is on the enforcement side, that the calls are increasing for the aggressive dogs or other type dogs just roaming the community and that type of thing. And if I'm hearing you correctly, space is becoming an issue where you're housing them. So council, what I'm suggesting is that I think probably here in about 6 months, we're going to have a conversation, a larger conversation, about what are we going to do to help on the enforcement side. Because if Stitches is full, and police officers, and I know for a fact personally, at least 2 times over the last couple of months, police officers have had to answer an aggressive dog type deal, because they're not technically trained as animal control officers. So, we have a growing issue, and I think that it's going to have to get addressed some way.
If I may suggest, like I said, in your ordinances, you have it that if a female dog is in need and she's roaming, the owner can be charged a fee for that. I think it needs to apply to male dogs as well. Everybody looks at it, well, she's having puppies, well, she can't have puppies without him. And trust me, he can make way more litters than she can. So to me, what's good for the goose is good for the gander,
Sure.
But you've got people breeding them left and right, well, they need a business license. And whenever they get a business license, it's going to go straight to the Department of Agriculture, and they got to be inspected by the Department of Agriculture, and she can come down, and this is where code enforcement can come in and help control this situation. Because it's going to take all of us. He can say, no, he does not meet the requirements, he's not zoned for that, so no, he can't have a breeder's license.
Okay.
So that cuts down on that. I'm just trying to put options
we can, maybe next week, we get a call or get something on the calendar, so we're not strategizing what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
All right, you just let me know when it's convenient for you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Ms. Jameson?
Right.
Appreciate your effort in working with Stitches and working for the city of Camilla as well. But my concern is this right here. It kind of rose my attention about the rabies of different vicious dogs. I know most of the time my dog is very vicious. 9 times out of 10, something is going wrong. And sometimes they may have rabies. But how do you all detect whether these dogs or cats have rabies?
Well, that's why we hold them for so many days, because it takes no longer, that if they got hit today, 10 days from today, you will see the signs and the symptoms of on that mouth. They're really bad at walking in circles, and no matter what you do to them, they're going to continue to walk in circles. You could run over them with a vehicle and they would never blow the horn. It is not even crazy. When we see it, we're instructed to take the animal straight to the vet's office. They put the animal down, remove the bed, send it to the state vet's office, and if it comes back, you know, at least we know the animal was, and we put it out, like, if you were near this dog, or if you were, because all it takes is a scratch. And people, I did not realize how many bites are reported in at our hospital. There's usually anywhere from 2 to 3 bites a week.
Wow.
And we all, as a county, as a city, everything, we have the possibility of somebody's child getting bit and mom's gonna say, it's just a little bite, it's just a little, and 10 days later, the child dies, because once the human exhibits the symptoms, there's nothing they can do. So, we put a separate area at the shelter where we put stray dogs, make sure, and we keep them for the 10 days, and then if they pass and do not show any symptoms of rabies, we put them in general population, so to speak.
Okay. All right, so council, I like the idea of the city manager trying to meet up with you here in the next week or so, but I just want to make sure I get this on record, that 6 months from now, and what I would ask Mr. City Manager is that the Board of Health, which I'm on that board also, we only meet quarterly, but to Ms. Emerson's point, these bites and these types of things are recorded daily or weekly or whatever the case may be. So if we can integrate the bite information directly from the Board of Health before the 3-month deal, so maybe on a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis, we can do that. In addition to it, and I believe that they are covered under our police officers, police department's report as it relates to dog calls, that we would like to start tracking that over the course of the next 6 months. And if that is year over year becoming an issue, then council, I think at some point, just for the general safety of the public, that we may have to do something beyond the folks that are breeding in their backyard. Now, what I'm talking about are dogs on the street bothering folks. If our police officers are responding to multiple calls that way, we're going to have to change course. So somewhere around March, if you don't mind, Mr. City Manager, we can start tracking that maybe in October. We'll come back and see what we're looking like, and then whatever conversations you're having with Susan, we can incorporate that also. All right, well, Susan, those are my questions and comments. Council, any other questions? Okay, thank you. I appreciate it, Susan. And just in case one of the public, just real briefly, if they have any questions, if you don't mind, just hang out just for maybe another 5 or 10 minutes. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right. So again, I just want to open it up for the public. See if you have any questions or comments as it relates to this year's budget. Okay. All right. So this time, I'm going to close the public hearing for the fiscal year 22-23 City of Camilla budget. Last call. All right. At this time, the City of Camilla 2022-2023 budget review and public hearing is closed. All right. Thank you, everybody. And as you can see from the agenda, and Lisa and Susan, obviously you're more than welcome to stay. We're going to roll right into our city council meeting, but truly appreciate you coming by and taking the time. All right, so at this time, council, if there's no objection, we'll just roll right into our, yeah, it ended up going off during the deal. So just bear with me 1 second. We'll give Mr. Palmer one more try and see. Hey, Councilman Palmer, I got you on speaker here. Okay, are you able to watch it on the? I can keep you on this line, but if you're able to watch it via Facebook, that's fine. If you want to call, if you have a question, or I can just hold you on here, and we can just see what happens from there. Yes, sir. So we're headed into the call meeting right now.
Okay, just keep me on the line.
Okay, sir. All right. So at this time, and thank you, Cheryl. At this time, I'd like to turn to our city clerk, Cheryl Ford, to call the roll, please.
Councilman Tucker.
Present.
Councilman Burley.
Here.
Councilman Morgan.
Here.
Councilman Collins.
Here.
Councilman Palmer. And Councilman Palmer.
All right. Thank you. All right. So at this time, I'd like to turn to our city manager to lead us in prayer, please.
Gracious God, our Lord and our Savior, God, once again we come before your throne of grace tonight, just asking that where there's confusion, you give us clarity. God, where there's misunderstanding, God, we pray that you grant us understanding. God, we're asking for your grace, your peace, and your mercy tonight as we conduct the City of Camilla's business. God, I pray for a special prayer for each and every household represented here tonight. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
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 Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Mr. City Manager, thank you so much for that prayer, sir. And thank you, everybody, for the pledge. At this time, is there a motion to approve the agenda for tonight? Second. Well, the motion is properly second. Any discussion? All right. All in favor? Councilman Palmer? That was, got it. Yes, sir. All right, motion carries. Thank you, council. And at this time, are there any speaker appearances? Anyone would like to speak to the council? All right. So at this time, we'll go right into our main item for today, and that is the adoption, or the consideration for the adoption of our fiscal year 2022-2023 budget. This is resolution number 2022-09-21-1. And I'll just read from the resolution, and then I will ask for a motion from the floor. Whereas this resolution number 2022-09-21-1, resolution setting the budget for the 2022-2023 fiscal year. Whereas the city of Camilla, by and through its mayor and council, has duly advertised notice of public hearings. And whereas the city has further held such hearings as required by law. And whereas the mayor and council have received public input on the budget for 2022-2023 fiscal year. And upon due consideration and deliberation, the city hereby resolves to set the budget for said 2022-2023 fiscal year in the amount of $47,504,320. So resolved the 21st day of September 2022. The City Council has reviewed documentation for the 2022-2023 fiscal budget, and resolution number 2022-9-21-1 to adopt the 2022-2023 fiscal year budget at departmental levels and authorizes the mayor to sign. Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, please. I'd like to make a motion that we table this in consideration of that we received this budget 12 minutes before the meeting today. I just feel like it's my responsibility as a city council member to review it thoroughly, and I would certainly like to make a motion that we table it, and I'm very open to any date that we need to have a call meeting, if we need to do so before October the 1st.
Yes, ma'am. We have a motion to table this item till a date to be determined. Is there a second? All right. Yes, sir. So we have a motion that's been properly seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, Councilman Tucker and I went through the budget, almost line by line, every page.
We went through the budget because there were a number of areas where I was concerned that we were over in expenses for last fiscal year, but we were under budget in terms of this year. And I have been, since the meeting, going through and seeing that there are a number that have been changed. I just personally feel like with the responsibility of realizing that we are about to adopt a budget that's over $9 million higher than last year, that I feel like that all of us, and I'm only speaking for myself, I feel like that I would just like the time, whether it's 24 or 48 hours even, just to review the changes with respect to that we were given it when we arrived.
Well, the point that I will make is the changes and other than the, if you correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. City Manager, beyond the funds that were accounted for the $4 million drawdown that is added to this, the majority, if not all, of the changes that were discussed in the second public hearing is what we're dealing with here. So I'm not sure that the concept of receiving it 12 minutes ago doesn't. This is the same budget that we've addressed for about a month now, minus what I would consider some of the minor changes that were used. And I would also point out to everybody, and I think the record would reflect that there were no questions related to the city manager from the folks that are making this motion or seconding it or discussing it. So I think if there were any questions related to the budget itself, surely there would have been questions for the city manager and the chief financial consultant. So I don't understand that, quite frankly. Go ahead, sir.
Changes so we can see what was changed, since there were changes all the way through it, and you couldn't tell what was changed and what was not changed, and as of yet, I have not received one.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Councilman Palmer. Again, the information, we're operating off the same budget that we've been having hearings about for the last month or so. And as the city manager has mentioned, the council member that's made this motion has sat down with the city manager and had conversations directly related to this budget. But what I will do, I'm going to yield the floor and let the motion on the table right now is to table this item. We have a motion that has been properly seconded. Any other discussion?
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Burley.
Well, what I was going to say was, it was brought to my attention also as well about the increase. But then when the city manager got in front of us and stated where the increase comes from, due to a lot of auditing stuff that didn't happen back in the days, and some more things that we brought down, to me that right there kind of helped me to appreciate the increase in the area that was increased. And also, I did go back through the line item to look at some of the things that we made mention on the last time we met that you was going to adjust. I see that they are there. And I don't have really any questions about what you've done. I mean, to me, it's self-explanatory. And what you all decided with the CFO, well, she done left the room already. But to me, she found these things and overdraft things that we had. We've taken care of that. We're looking at increasing other items where they wasn't there so that we wouldn't go over budget. So I see nothing wrong with it. Not just me, Councilman Burley.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? All right. All in favor of tabling? All right. All opposed? Motion fails. All right. That count was 3-2. And just to remind everybody, here in the city of Camilla, it takes 4 votes to pass anything here in the city. So even though you may have what appears to be 3-2, we don't do the simple majority here in the city. So that motion fails. So I will go back to the original motion to, is there a motion to approve resolution number 2020? Hey, Councilman, if you can mute, we gotta have the birthday in the background. All right, appreciate you. All right, so again, Council. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 2020-09-14-1, approving the 2022-2023 fiscal year budget? Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion been properly second. Any discussion? All right. All in favor? All opposed? Motion fails. So at this time, what we'll do is schedule a meeting for to get this back on the agenda, if you will. So the public, what we will do is notify you when that will happen. Now, the way that it works here and the way that our charter is designed, if we don't meet again before the 1st, to get this done, our charter simply says we start operating off the budget that we had last year. So I just want the people to understand that the city of Camilla will continue to run. There's no, we'll just continue to use the budget that we have, but we're going to be working hard between now and the 1st of October, before the 1st, obviously, to get another meeting to get this started or to get this done. All right. Any other questions? All right. So at this time, Council, we've reached the end of our agenda. And is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
We are adjourned. Thank you, Council.